I keep seeing Sykkuno everywhere lately, and I don't fully understand the drama of it, and I thought today we could learn together. I genuinely feel like I'm the only streamer right now that doesn't actually fully understand the situation between this, so we're fixing that today. Hi, I'm Duckii Pirate, and I'm starting a series today of trying to be more chronically online. Yay! Because apparently I miss everything important on the internet. I found Mujin's account and it was the longest video on this, and I was trying to find a video that I could react back to that wasn't already a reaction video in itself. I noticed that a lot of accounts had used this person's video, so I thought, perfect, why not go straight to the source? Wow, what a pro reaction channel.
My girlfriend of 4 years has recently become obsessed with a male streamer, and I feel really uncomfortable about it. This was a post made on the subreddit r/relationship advice around the end of 2020. What was particularly shocking here is that barely just a few days after making that initial post, he'd end up breaking up with his girlfriend. Her obsession with that streamer was that irrational. And during that time, she wasn't the only one who might have felt this way. That's because the male streamer in question here was none other than Sykkuno, a name
Sykkuno. So close, not Sykkuno. Sykkuno. I'm not good with names, okay.
and face that had become a core memory of the COVID-19 pandemic, more specifically when everyone was locked up in their homes. In the span of less than a year, he would go from having 1,000 average viewers on Twitch to 50,000, even having a stream where he
That's crazy. 50,000. Oh my god. I remember him on lockdown. I remember seeing a lot of clips of him. I've never watched his streams or anything like that. I've seen a lot of clips of him playing Among Us with other streamers. At the time, I wasn't really into Twitch or streaming, so I didn't know enough of these people.
peaked at over 100,000 concurrent viewers. What he'd be most known for was his gameplay of Among Us with his friends, who happened to be very big content creators as well. Not only would he get tens of thousands of concurrent viewers on Twitch, but he would get millions upon millions of views on his YouTube channel as well. And while his rise to fame is definitely incredibly impressive, what was truly unparalleled here is his extremely high ratio of female viewers, confirmed to having been higher than any of his other content creator friends. His handsome look.
It's more unheard of for streamers to actually have a lot of higher female audiences, right?
Look, his anime sounding voice and his witty jokes made women go rabid. In fact, there was also a joke that he would turn male fans gay. But what made him really desirable is just how socially awkward he was. He was innocent in an endearing way. He was a boy failure that needed a woman to fix him. In a nutshell, he was this picture, almost allergic to other women. He just couldn't handle anything romantic. He would get too flustered.
The allegations that I've been hearing about him, it's really strange to hear this side. Like, I feel like as an outsider, I've heard the afterwards and not the before of him, like, being a manipulator. I've heard the term predator go around as well. It's really weird to now hear the words boy failure and shy, knowing that he's like a serial cheater. It's quite ironic.
This made many of his fans want to be the one to finally fix him. But make no mistake here, this was all a perfectly crafted image that he had made for himself. He wanted you to think that he was innocent, naive, a boy failure, someone who's inexperienced in relationships and would never hurt a fly. Because in reality, behind this mirage, this illusion, there was a master manipulator, a serial cheater, and a predator. Someone who would
I keep hearing the word predator and I'm like, maybe I don't fully understand the term of what it is, but so far I know serial cheater is correct. Predator is such a strong word. I just think, oh my god, like, what has he done? I've really, other than serial cheating right now, which is obviously still bad, I'm just curious, like, what did he do?
Make it a point for many years to target smaller content creators, take full advantage of the fact that he was one of the most desirable men in the streaming world, all while making it seem like he had no experience with women and that it just might be romantic. They just might be that special someone who can fix him. What he would somehow forget to tell them, though, is that he had been in a monogamous relationship since 2021. But you don't have to take my word for it, because he admits to everything in a recorded voice call with the victim herself. And on top of that, that same victim, who goes by the name of VT, would choose to write a Google Doc that shows the entire timeline, her and Sykkuno's DMs together, as well as the DMs of another victim that actually slept with Sykkuno while being totally oblivious to the fact that he has been in a relationship since 2021. This might be one of the most impactful and longest running lies in content creation history. I want to thank the two victims in question for trusting me with this very heavy topic and for allowing me to make the first comprehensive video on it. So without further ado, let's get right into this mess.
2021, so that means it was a 5-year relationship. That's wild to me, and I'm guessing nobody knew about the relationship. Otherwise, these girls would have known that he was cheating on everybody. Oh my god, so messy.
Alright, so first off, who the hell is Sykkuno? Well, before starting his streaming career, he actually used to be a software engineer working in the Bay Area of California. His monotonous office life would change forever though when he would meet Lily Pichu, a well-known content creator who actually
I know her, she does the podcast with Pokimane, right? I've never seen their podcast, but I've seen a few clips of it and she seems like such a sweetie pie.
She started making content as far back as 2012. However, when they met, she was far from being the very well-known content creator that we know today. It was back during the Season 3 World Championship for League of Legends during the year of 2013, so barely a year into her content creator journey. Sykkuno would be aware of her content. He'd reach out to her and would want to meet her, seeing that they're both at the same place. Lily Pichu agreed, thinking, oh, am I about to meet a fan? That's awesome. She'd be absolutely shocked when that fan would show up with a massive bouquet of flowers. As she was about to thank him, he would run away back to his cousins. According to him, these were his only friends at the time. He was that lonely. He was simply too embarrassed to interact with her further. This interaction left a good impression on Lily Pichu, and they kept in touch for years to come. In fact, as she would start her streaming journey, she'd play with her friends, and one of those friends would be Sykkuno. Her viewers would start to express interest in him, especially seeing that his voice sounded like an anime character. There was genuine demand in her community to know what he looked like. What they didn't know though was that Lily Pichu had already shown him. He was there with her when she went to Summoners Con 2015, and he was right there with her in her vlog. But most of her community were simply not aware of this. So seeing that there was growing demand to see what he looked like, they decided to do a face reveal live on Lily Pichu's stream around the year of 2019.
Yeah. You're such a dude. Oh, okay, here we go. Wait, you're actually so much braver than I thought.
Only because you're here.
Alright, I'm in this stream.
I'm sorry, but that anime voice... only because you're here. I can't. It's so cringe.
And as you can see, the chat was definitely not disappointed. In fact, Lily Pichu had such an impact on Sykkuno that she would be, well, the main reason why he would start streaming. And you can hear him say that himself.
So what convinced you to start streaming? Oh, Lily actually.
And speaking of streaming, he would start doing so shortly after revealing his face on Lily Pichu's stream. He'd start in the beginning of 2019 with barely under 100 viewers, but as the months would go by, he would start to get very rapid growth. He would really start putting in serious hours by August 2019, and within just 1 year, by August 2020, he'd be sitting at 8,000 average viewers, reaching a peak of 15,000. But how? Why? Well, during his streams, he would continue playing with Lily Pichu. And seeing that Lily Pichu has a lot of big content creators that she calls friends, she would introduce them to Sykkuno. It turned out that this guy was very easy to talk to. He was witty, he made jokes, and the communities of the many streamers actually enjoyed his company. All of these factors combined would be the perfect catalyst for when the quarantine season of COVID-19 would arrive. He would start to play the game Among Us with some of the biggest content creators on the planet, and within just 4 months, he would go from 8,000 average viewers all the way up to 50,000 average viewers, peaking at 100,000 viewers in one stream. He was gaining 500,000 followers every single month. In just the span of like a year and a half, he had gone from being a mid-tier streamer to one of the biggest on the entire platform. It wasn't just Twitch though. He would be getting millions.
A little side note though, I've heard that a lot of people's channels grew up pretty big in lockdown. There's a lot of streamers that I've asked, like, how did you get big to where you are now? And a lot of them just said, lockdown. That's it. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Millions upon millions of views on his YouTube videos as well. He was killing it on every single platform he was on. And so by 2022, when YouTube was aggressively recruiting Twitch streamers to stream on their platforms instead, offering them multi-million-dollar deals, they targeted Sykkuno, seeing that he's extremely brand friendly, has a very loyal audience, and had become a household name in such a short time. So on May 2nd, 2022, he would announce to the world that he was moving to YouTube on a 2-year exclusive contract. And as you can tell by the engagement, this post went viral. What I really want you to understand though is just how valuable he was seen by companies and platforms. Back when YouTube was aggressively recruiting talents that were on Twitch and their confidence and hubris, seeing that they completely dominated the streaming scene at the time, would never bother offering a counteroffer. On the very rare occasion that they did, it was a very big deal, and guess what? They made an exception to Sykkuno. They gave him a counteroffer higher than YouTube. Sykkuno would go back to YouTube and show them Twitch's new offer, and YouTube would offer to pay even more. His contract alone is estimated to be around $5 million. Sykkuno...
That's crazy. I knew that big Twitch streamers got a lot of money, but I don't know, I just never really considered how much. That's wild. Oh my god.
Though also had interests in other communities such as VTubers. In 2023, for an April Fool's joke, he would debut his first VTuber model, extending his reach to a new niche community. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because at some point he was invited to a call with the Senator Bernie Sanders alongside Valkyrae and Pokimane. And instead of showing his face, he chose to be a VTuber. This was so ridiculous and it went so viral that he...
What was that video for? Why was Bernie there? Like, what was... I don't know, this is just such a weird mix. Why was Bernie there?
Inadvertently kind of became a spokesperson for VTubing in one stream. I mean, God, everyone wanted a piece of that guy. You would see him everywhere, collabing with everyone. And this was partly due to his very loyal and almost rabid fan base. But it was, of course, all by design. You see, back in 2023, Pokimane would make the very interesting revelation that Sykkuno had the highest female demographic fan base compared to any other streamer, her included. She would compare his level of fame and the way his fans acted towards him to K-pop idols. He simply wasn't seen like the run-of-the-mill Twitch streamer. No, there was definitely more to this. And one of the main...
That makes a lot more sense now when it's compared to like K-pop idols. Because on Twitch, it's really unheard of to have more of a higher female demographic on there. So to be compared to K-pop idols kind of makes sense.
Main reasons why this worked out so well is because he was seen as a boy failure. No, not the kind of guy who's unemployed and lives in a dump and smells like shit. I'm talking about the ideal boy failure. The guy who's handsome, smells nice, doesn't live in a dump, but is instead just a hopeless romantic. Someone who turns all red when you want to initiate physical contact. The most innocent, naive soul imaginable. The appeal of a boy failure isn't necessarily that he's a failure. It's the fact that he's perfect but just needs one person to fix him. And that's how a significant chunk of his fan base felt.
That makes sense. The whole dommy mummy thing.
Then it's not too different from a girl failure that has a male audience that wants to fix her. It's the same parasocial mess. This can be very easily seen in some of the most viral fan-made videos of Sykkuno, like this one for example, sitting at over 3 million views. Sykkuno tells his trauma about girls. Sykkuno trusts his friend, Disguised Toast, more than the girls. So this guy had barely any romantic experience, and yet still, he had his heart broken. He needs a woman that will fix him and tell him it'll be okay. And maybe she'll be one of his fans. If only he knew how handsome.
But he was in a relationship back then when he did that, so he was faking that? Unless that was just before his relationship. Either way, it seems really strange.
And amazingly desirable he was though, because he's another fan-made video. Everyone's simping for Sykkuno because who doesn't? I mean, God, if only he wasn't a boy failure and understood how smooth he was with women, but he's too naive. Because guess what? This video, sitting at over 4 million views, is titled Sykkuno Being Smooth with Girls for 14 minutes. Yeah, I think you get the point by now, right? This image of him that was so carefully crafted would attract a very large female audience. It would also allow him to be one of the only male streamers to constantly be able to hang out with a majoritarily female friend group without him or them getting in trouble with their fan bases due to jealousy. The guy was innocent, allergic to love, and he wouldn't hurt a single fly. This allowed him to do things that other male content creators could never do. Like, dude, this is him sniffing the armpit of Fuslie at some point during a podcast.
I mean, I would if I could. Maybe I need to go that route. Guys, I'm such a girl failure. Girls never like me. Now, may I sniff your armpits, please?
When they were talking about body odor. This is how much he was trusted around women, and even though his audience was very obsessed over him, they saw him as so awkward, so incapable of understanding what love or social cues mean that this was fine. They didn't mind, because they were going to be the ones to fix him anyway. So it comes as no surprise that yes, some relationships literally ended over the girl's obsession over him. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if some gay relationships ended because of the same reason too. He was just that.
I just fully understood what that first Reddit post was about. I was a little bit confused. I didn't know what to expect from it. I wasn't sure if that was the relationship of Sykkuno. But now I've just understood that is a random girl that has thrown away her normal relationship because she is in love with a streamer. Oh, it doesn't even say in that post what it is, but fucking hell. What the fuck? Crazy. I feel like this isn't maybe even the conversation to have this right now, but like the parasocial relationships that people have with people online can honestly get really scary and uncomfortable. It's so strange to see. Like, for this? What? Are you okay in the head? Do you need help? It sounds like it.
Much of a sensation, and that crafted image he built around himself was just so believable and convincing. And so he'd keep on doing what he's always done, and after his 2-year contract with YouTube would finally end during May 2024, he would make his grand comeback to Twitch, peaking at over 26,000 viewers. However, his viewer count would slowly begin to drift. And by April 2026, he'd be sitting at 1,665 average viewers, a far cry from the peak of the pandemic back at 50,000.
I mean, yeah, that's a big dip, but like, that's still a lot of people. After the pandemic, people went back to jobs, people went back to like normal day-to-day lives. It makes sense that it would take a big dip from that. But like, that's still a very high number. That's still a big amount.
So stop collabing with larger content creators as much as he used to, mostly sticking to himself. But hell, I mean, 1,600 average viewers is still very easy to make a living off of. He had made his millions of dollars, had this incredibly obsessive fan base. As far as content creator careers go, this really wasn't so bad. The guy was a multimillionaire. What people weren't aware of, though, is that for many years since becoming a viral sensation, he would use his status as Sykkuno, as the most desirable streamer imaginable, as this K-pop idol, to pursue relationships with smaller or up-and-coming content creators, whether they be cosplayers or VTubers, manipulating them into thinking that they were special, all in the hopes of hooking up with them and while being in a monogamous relationship. This is the real Sykkuno. And now we finally have proof. Hemamal VT, who I'll refer to as Mal from now on, is someone who has been making content for the last year. She occasionally streams from time to time, but also tends to post cosplays on her Twitter profile, some of them being revealing. Those revealing cosplays would catch Sykkuno's attention, and he'd follow her on Valentine's Day of 2026. Within barely a few days, he would start talking about how they should move in together into the same house.
That's so sad. I mean, on such a romantic day as well. Already it's horrible to be cheated on by your partner. The romantic day? Of all of them?
Having a girlfriend. When Mal would find out about the girlfriend, she would decide to write a Google document. The Google document would contain Mal's side of the story as well as Elfie Leah's side of the story. Another VTuber who, of course, also posts cosplays from time to time, which is why Sykkuno was interested in her to begin with. She also had no idea that Sykkuno had a girlfriend and would meet up with him during December 2025 in Paris when he would travel for a convention. Unlike Mal though, she would actually end up sleeping with Sykkuno, again, completely oblivious that he has a girlfriend. They would both share their stories and the DMs with Sykkuno in the Google document. This document would be 32 pages long, and it would detail both of their experiences with Sykkuno, leading up to the revelation of the fact that he has a girlfriend, as well as a link to the full 17-minute YouTube video in which Mal would confront Sykkuno about cheating on his girlfriend with her. Here's how it would start off. On Valentine's Day of this year, I was followed on Twitter by Sykkuno. I thought it was amazing that such a big content creator even knew I existed, let alone followed me on social media. He had been my...
There's a certain word that people use, and right now I can't remember it at the top of my head, but when people use their fame or power to can I say manipulate to get what they want? I'm guessing maybe this is why people are calling him a predator for that sense. It's just that when I hear the word predator myself, I think differently of what it means. But I guess it's not wrong to use that term either.
Role model, and someone I looked up to for a long time, ever since my days in high school. However, what I learned about Sykkuno after that day would make me regret my decision. Sykkuno is not the kind, soft-spoken character you see on stream. He is a serial cheater, liar, and manipulator who uses his status to get what he wants from as many women as possible. More specifically, ones who are smaller or up-and-coming content creators, knowing that he can take advantage of them. After confiding in many others that have had similar experiences with Sykkuno, I realized that this was not an isolated incident. In fact, it was something that had been going on for multiple years. He always made sure to cover his tracks and never left a paper trail significant enough for someone to make this public. But now, this has all changed. These are serious allegations, and I fully understand that this should not be treated lightly. I urge all other content creators who have been personally affected by Sykkuno's behavior to not remain silent, as I believe that there is strength in numbers. This document will not only include proof from me, but from another victim who has given me her consent as well. Below, you will find evidence that will expose his calculated pattern of love bombing and manipulation, as well as a recording of a voice call where he explicitly admits to all his wrongdoings, everything. Alright, so already this is one hell of an intro to the document, right? One thing I want to point out is the urging of all other content creators who have been personally affected by Sykkuno to come out about this. As I had already mentioned, there are many people who were affected by his actions throughout the years. In fact, if Sykkuno traveled to any expo or convention or event, then you can bet a hefty sum of money that he always had someone there who he flew out, hoping that he could bring them to his hotel room. Anyway, the next section of the document would be titled, Our First Conversation. After Valentine's Day, I was so excited about him following me that I told a friend who then urged me to strike up a conversation. I finally worked up the courage to send him a DM, and he replied right away. So here we can see on the 15th of February, Mal would send, "Are you still looking for a Valentine's date perhaps?" To which Sykkuno would say,
That is a strong first message, but honestly, I respect it. Fair enough. Obviously, she didn't know that he has a girlfriend, but strong first start.
So innocently, "What? You can't just open up with something like that? And besides, Valentine's Day's almost over where I'm from already." To which she would reply with,
I don't know how I would react if someone said that back to me. I mean, maybe that's usual of how he talks, but it just really comes across as like cringe anime. What? You can't just say that like that. Besides, you could definitely see the image created now. Maybe it was hard to see beforehand because I know the facts of this afterwards of him faking this personality. Maybe it did come across as more natural before all his lies came out, but oh my god. I can't help but cringe, honestly.
"I always do a Valentine's Day do-over, you know?" In the same first conversation, he brought up what kind of games he liked to play and invited me to play with him after a convention. On the left image, we can see them discussing sleep schedules, right? Understanding what time it is for her, what time it is for him. And on the right image,
Discussing sleep schedules. That is... Can I say flirting? It's not a good sense of flirting, but you're like, hey, what time is it over there? What time is it with you? Reading through these texts are, oh my god, it's quite cringe. I feel bad because obviously flirting is always cringe, right? And we're seeing like a private conversation.
we can see him say, "What games do you like to play? I'm like a massive game player. That's usually how I meet people or make friends, to be honest." In the next couple of images, we can see Sykkuno talk about the game he was playing, which was Outlast Trials, saying that maybe Mal could carry him. She would agree, give him her Discord, and then wonder, "Hey, are you done soon with your stream? Because I'm getting tired." She hadn't slept all night. She was pulling an all-nighter. He'd apologize for taking so long, and then he'd say that he has a convention to go to. So after making her wait for like a few hours, he would say, "Hey, listen, can we just play tomorrow? I have a convention to go to." And they would agree, "Okay, let's play after the convention." This is what would lead us to the next section. Interest in where I live. For context, this is still the same day as the first conversation, only moved to Discord in a few hours apart since I'm EU time zone and he's US time zone. So yeah, these DMs have the timestamp of 10 a.m. EU time. The last DMs we can see on Twitter were at 9 a.m. So this is barely an hour later after they added each other. Mal would continue by saying, "Things started out innocently enough with him inquiring about fun things to do near where I live, such as aquariums and conventions, TwitchCon EU specifically. I'd like to point out that I said we could go on a date to make up for Valentine's. He not once expressed to me any discomfort or that he wasn't single." So yeah, this is how it goes. If someone expresses interest in you, right, you typically tell them fairly quickly that you're already in a committed relationship. You don't just let things slide. Mal had no reason to think that Sykkuno was already taken. Otherwise, he would have said something after she proposed a date. He'd ask, "Did they have an aquarium? I'm a big fan of aquariums." She'd say, "There's artists in Amsterdam, could make it a date, you know, to make up for Valentine's." He'd only reply with, "A what? Lol?" Continuing on with his innocent persona, but he'd never say, "Oh no, actually, wait, like I want to meet up as friends. I'm actually in a relationship." Not once. The next
I'm not excusing it, but because they said that he was trying to, I guess, market himself as a, what did they call it? A K-pop idol. aren't all of those not allowed to be in relationships as well? I mean, he is in one, but I guess it's really different because he's talking in the DMs right now.
Section will be titled Following My Private Instagram. He would also follow my personal private Instagram that is only available to my IRL friends and family while using his official Sykkuno account. So here we can see an image of Sykkuno following her with her personal account name being hidden since it's personal. The next section will be titled Making Plans to Meet Me in Person. So bear in mind, this was the next day, okay, the 16th of February. They had started talking on the 15th. He followed her on the 14th. The document would say, in this 2-hour Discord gaming call, the same day as our first conversation, Sykkuno made plans to meet me IRL. It was set to be the same weekend as Dokumi 2026 since he was flying over anyway to attend TwitchCon EU. Going to the aquarium would be our first date. I also learned that there is a 15-year age gap between us. Right, so
how old is Sykkuno? I really feel like I need to know this. I hope they say in this video. I'm still new to reaction videos. Do I Google this myself right now? Like, I'm 15-year age gap. I need to see the official term of what a predator means right now. Okay, it says a predator. The term also refers to a person or organization that ruthlessly exploits or harms others for personal gain. Predators are crucial for controlling populations and ecosystems. Oh, wait. A predator in slang is someone who ruthlessly exploits, manipulates, or targets others for personal gain, power, or sexual gratification. For some reason, I always thought predator meant a lot more, if you know what I mean. This is what I'm thinking of. Person who uses coercive, deceitful, or abusive tactics to obtain sexual contact or for targeting children or vulnerable individuals. That's what I personally knew a predator as. Someone that was, can I say, a lot more serious? Not that this isn't serious, but do you catch my drift? A social predator or a dating predator. Someone who manipulates ghosts or moves quickly between partners without regards for feelings, often characterized by dishonest behavior. I guess he is a predator then. 15 years. What?
Like, I personally spoke to the victim about this. I asked, like, would that usually have been like a red flag or a turnoff? She said yes. But the thing is, this is Sykkuno we're talking about here, right? So she made an exception because, as you saw in the intro of this document, she used to watch him in high school. She genuinely looked up to him. To say that she was starstruck was an understatement, and that's exactly what he was counting on. Now, while keeping that 15-year age gap in mind, this next section definitely hits different. It's titled Making Plans to Move In Together. These messages would be on the 17th of February, 2 days after they started talking.
2 days and they're talking about moving in together? I'm guessing because of the age gap, right? People are going to see this differently. But as you get older, the love bombing, the massive red flags already is a crazy amount. It's like it's screeching it. But to be fair, you learn these red flags and love blowing as you get older. You learn from it as you go through it. 2 days?
With Sykkuno, our relationship moved so incredibly fast it almost felt like a dream. It was like he could make anything I wanted happen, and as someone as prolific and successful as him, I had no reason to doubt anything he said to me. These screenshots show that Sykkuno and I were intending to adopt a cat and have me possibly move into his house. I told him we couldn't get a cat yet due to me not being a US citizen and possibly having visa issues. Keep in mind, this conversation happened 2 days after the first conversation. So in this first image of these set of DMs, we can see them talking about pets in general, right? About how he might be allergic to certain pets, about how his current dog doesn't trigger his allergies. So they start discussing the prospect of getting a cat. Mal would say, I mean, if I'm there anyways, we'll have to think of a name, no? To which Sykkuno would say, yeah, but I don't know if I can take care of it myself. Mal would say, or we're just gonna name it Cat. He'd say, you'll have to stay to help take care of it, lol. To which she'd say, I'm okay with that, though I don't know how that would work with me staying there. I can't stay forever either, you know, because I'm not an American citizen and I'll also probably have to go back as well. Because I mean, I hope at least that I can go back to studying end of this year. And like in general, everything is so expensive. And then he'd say, oh yeah, that's true. Okay, maybe we can get a cat together another time then. Besides, don't you already have a cat? Which she'd say, yeah, but they're my dad's. Also, did you finally order the food? And he'd say, oh, I see. So you wouldn't have to bring them if you just moved somewhere. To which she'd say, no, I guess not though. I'd miss them so much, so I definitely have to get new pets. So barely a couple days after speaking to each other, Sykkuno's out here discussing getting a pet together, taking care of it, raising it together, and looking into the possibility of her maybe moving in together with him one day.
Okay, after seeing the messages now, I mean, obviously they're still talking about moving in together, but it comes across as, would you say cute flirting? I don't know the term. Like sweetly flirting of like, oh yeah, we can move in together and we can have this, blah, 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 blah. But there's no proof there. There's nothing to it. There's nothing of him being serious. But again, because of the age gap, I can definitely see how this person would have took that a lot more seriously and not been able to tell that was either weird, cute flirting or literally just love bombing.
As he was sharing a home with his girlfriend. The next section will be titled Lying About Being Single and Dating History. In this screenshot, Sykkuno said he has only ever had one relationship his entire life. I would eventually find out that that was a lie and that he had been dating and living in the same house as his girlfriend for years and that I was not the only girl on the internet that he spoke to on a daily basis.
I don't know the timeline of this now. I don't know when she was speaking to him, but they said that he'd been living with his girlfriend for years, so... It says right there. Oh my god, wow, it says right there, 2026. Okay, this happened this year. Found out very soon. Oh, my bad. Okay.
Here we can see DMs of them discussing this topic. Mal would say, I mean, you've been in relationships before. It's not like it's your first relationship. Referencing what they might potentially have going on. To which he'd reply with, I don't know, lol. I've only actually dated someone once and they broke up with me, so yeah, I think I'm just not very good, so it's probably just a me issue. To which he'd say, did you never do anything for your ex, at all? To which he'd say, I mean, I think I did. I don't think she thought I did, so yeah. But I mean, everyone has their own way of what they want, so it's important to be are you getting what you want? And if you're not, I totally understand. Mal, of course, would want to inquire as to what he was saying. What do you mean you think you did? Like what? But he'd never specify, and he'd always keep it vague. Keeping up this persona that he crafted, the one that was allergic to love, that had no idea, what was going on with women. This would lead us right into the next section titled, Sexting. We texted
I mean, obviously they're flirting, but now at this point with the age gap, I'm really fucking curious of the ages of this. I need to Google this. It seems so inappropriate. Okay, so he is 34. He was born in 1991. And Mao? Was it Mao? So the VTuber that came out about this person used the term predator, saying that he had a predator behavior towards underage girls. With him being 34, he was involved with women that was between 18 and 19, which is legal, but as you grow older, you do realise it's really fucking weird. It's really weird. Legal or not, it's weird. Oh, she did go on to say, her ex-fling never dated any minor, thus the term predator was intended to describe Sykkuno's pattern of emotional manipulation rather than illegal conduct with minors. That term predator is used in such a serious sense now that when we use that word around, your mind immediately goes to the worst thing possible, right? But still, what he did was bad, but not illegal.
Every single day. And these interactions would be charged with flirting and suggestive topics. I would send him suggestive pictures and audios, and he would confirm that he'd touch himself to them. Additionally, he'd always act flustered and inexperienced, keeping up the...
I am uneducated on this topic. How do you flirt with a VTuber model? I mean, are we talking about the girl herself right now? Or is she and her model taking screenshots of this? How does this happen?
Illusion of his on-stream innocent persona. We'd also regularly talk about date ideas and things we'd like to do together in the future when we'd meet up IRL. Topics that are usually discussed between two adults who are clearly romantically interested in each other. On top of texting, we also called almost every single day, even after he'd stream for over 8 hours. We'd talk and play games regularly. One thing I'd notice is that every time we called and when he spoke, he'd be whispering and never fully use his voice. His excuse was that...
I was literally just thinking, when you're living with a partner, how is he hiding this? If he's sexting and talking and having these conversations with all these different women, how is he hiding it from his partner? But just mention whispering. It makes sense now.
It's because he was tired after a long stream, and I didn't really find that to be suspicious. Using your voice for 8 hours in a row does exhaust it after all. I now realize that he was quiet because his girlfriend lived with him and he didn't want her to hear. So in this first set of DMs, we can see them discussing things to watch together. Sykkuno saying, let's watch something. Mal would say we should. He would say, let's watch a cooked Netflix dating show because those are funny, or both. And Mal would say we should. And do you also want to play games like Helldivers or Overwatch or etc.? In the next image, we can see them discussing the spicy audio that she sent him at some point. He'd say, you do too. She would say, yeah, like in that audio recording I sent you, to which he would act flustered over and say, huh? Oh my God. Well, yes, you really sounded cute in that too. To which she would say, did you ever re-listen to it or only that once? In the next screenshot, we can see them discussing going on a gym date. Mal expressed to him how much she enjoys going to work out at the gym, and so Sykkuno would inquire about what a gym date looks like. This is when they discuss it more. In the next two set of DMs, we can see them talking about more spicy topics. Mal would say, you get flustered so easily. And then Sykkuno would say, because I'm not. I've never done this kind of thing before, lol. To which she would...
Oh, it's... Again, Reading back any type of flirting is really cringe, I'm sure, but it's even weirder seeing it, knowing that he has done this thing multiple times with so many women and in a long-term relationship. Like, this isn't, it's not like he... Sorry. I'm cringing for the both of us, okay?
Say, and? You don't like it? He'd continue saying, which is crazy because I'm older than you, but like, I haven't really dated much, so... And then Mal would say, so? You have me now. He'd reply with, my XP bar is low, but no.
The lies. My XP bar is low is such a weird fucking term for It's so bad.
I do it. I've never gotten something like this before. Yes, I like it. It's so good. I can't wait to use it later. As in, I can't wait to grill my sausage to it later, whatever she sent. To which she would reply with, you know, I've kind of wondered if you've ever touched yourself while watching what I send you. To which he'd say, what? Why would you wonder that? She'd say, well, because they're spicy pictures and videos. Of course, I wonder if you put them to use. And then he'd say, I'll definitely put this one to use. She'd say,
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's making me feel so uncomfortable. I don't know why, but it's so weird. It's so weird. Again, this would usually be cringe, but just knowing that he's fully lying throughout this makes it even more cringe. Like, number one, being cheated on is already fucking horrible, but then going in and seeing the weird cringy text, like imagine seeing your partner of 5 years and they're like, my XP bar is so low. I'll definitely put this one to use. Like, would you just get over it then and then? Like, I feel like I would go from heartbreak to be like, ooh, you could have him. You're good now. Yeah, we're good.
so you've never done so before? And then he would say, maybe in all caps, with a flustered sweating emoji. This is when she'd put her foot down and say, I want a yes or no. And then he would say, yes, of course I have. How could I not? Overall, these DMs were a balance of spicy and wholesome, just like what you'd expect when two people are romantically interested in each other, saying goodnight to each other, inquiring on their health. He'd compliment her on her appearance. She'd say, I love getting compliments from you. Good morning, handsome. What are you up to? But this romantic interest wouldn't just be expressed with words. No, for Sykkuno, he'd make sure to express it financially, too. This is what would lead us to the next section, titled Sugar Daddy. Less than a month later, Sykkuno would randomly ask for my PayPal account in DMs. He'd then waste no time in sending me money unprompted, something that I'd later realize was simply a behavioral pattern that he'd employ with women he'd express interest in. I want to reiterate that I have never asked him for his money, and he did this of his own volition. He bought me both a gym jacket, linked below, and Resident Evil 9, because I had expressed interest in that game. Here we can see two payments, the first one sent on the 28th of February 2026, 81 euros, and the second one being 200 euros on the 5th of March 2026. The sender was the business, Sykkuno. He'd innocently ask for her PayPal username on the 28th of February. He'd start off the conversation with, you still aren't asleep either? To which she'd say, I fell asleep, woke up again because I'm having trouble sleeping. He would then say, oh, well, good morning. And what's your PayPal so I can buy you games later? She'd say, huh? Straight to the point. Jesus, I need to update my email to my PayPal because it's my old name from before I rebranded. When he would send her money for a gym jacket, at some point she'd say, want me to send it back? To which he'd say, no, I wanted you to get a nice gym vest, lol. Especially because it seems like you're really passionate about working out, so I thought it'd be nice. And then you can remember me when you're wearing it. I thought it was a cute idea. She'd buy one, she'd wear it, she'd send it to him, and she'd say, I wore it with the green set because I know how much you like green. She'd also make a tweet on her account while wearing it, saying, this gym jacket is literally so comfy, the muscle mommy arc will be real. So up until this point, this was Mal's experience with Sykkuno. The next section is titled A Calculated Pattern of Love Bombing and Manipulation. And this is where we talk about Elphilia's side of the story. The document would say, after speaking to Elphilia a few days ago, we were able to...
So from what I know, there's 2 girls so far that has come forward with this about him cheating. But they did say that there was a lot more. I'm so curious of what the updated number is. Because at this point right now, this video was posted 6 days ago. I don't know when the original post, the document, was posted. I'm curious how many girls have come forward now at this point.
Corroborate our experiences with Sykkuno and learned that we were both victims of this. We had no idea that he was talking to both of us at the same time. Sykkuno is known to send hundreds of dollars to the girls he wants to get involved with. This screenshot is from when he took my friend Elphilia to Paris during the 2025 TFT tournament, along with sending her 500 euros to help her move into her new apartment. You can clearly see that this was sent from his business email's PayPal account. So unlike the other image that was supplied by Mal, here we can clearly see this is Sykkuno at hotmail.com sending her all.
God, he's getting a lot of money, isn't he? If he's sending that amount to one girl and then another to another girl, I'm curious how much money he was spending a month. But then, I'm guessing he was also getting a lot of money a month too. That's wild.
This money, a substantial amount, around 1,550 euros, all under his business email. Here are the DMs in which we can see that he offered to pay for her flight to TFT Paris as well as all the food and hotel fees there, pretty much taking care of her financially during the entire trip. So this starts off as far back as April 2025, with Sykkuno telling Elphilia, I'm probably going to Paris later this year for sure, I'm not sure on TwitchCon yet, I'm afraid I don't know enough people. He'd say, you should come to Paris when I go to it, is it close? To which she'd say, Paris is pretty easy to go to, yeah, since it's in the European Union. He'd say, you better hang out then when I go there. She'd reply with, I'll have to see because I know nothing and no one there and it's expensive, to which he would say, I'll pay for it, don't worry. She'd say, whoa, really? You do that? And then he'd say, yeah, of course, and all the food. She'd of course be ecstatic about this and say, you'd have to deal with my annoying ass though. And he would say, but you gotta choose places to eat, like the restaurants. And she'd say, deal. One day later, he'd reiterate, you're fine, you never have to pay for anything, don't worry, lol. How much is the flight usually from Netherlands to Paris and back? Because she lived in the Netherlands at the time. I think I'm going for like a TFT tournament or something like that. On the 10th of December 2025, we can see her saying, I'm boarding now, see you soon, to which he would reply with, see you soon, you have the hotel info, right? Since they were going to share a room. This brings us to the next section titled Elphilia's Experience. Elphilia would talk to Sykkuno on and off for the span of 5 years. During that time, she had absolutely no idea that he had a girlfriend in the 5 years that she had known him, and on and off flirted with him. Anytime she would bring up the topic of his love life, he would give the response of playing too many games and not going out enough to meet women to date.
Oh my god, again, already cheating is fucking horrible to do, but 5 years? He basically cheated on his partner the whole fucking time they were together. That's heartbreaking. I'm curious if the girlfriend has come forward about this, if she said anything now at this point. Oh, my heart breaks for her. That's so horrible.
In mind, she knew him since like 2021, back when he was like the most desired man on the entirety of Twitch or the streaming space. And even with all that flirting, he never once mentioned the relationship he's been in since 2021. So this was in the beginning of his relationship as well. So in this next set of DMs, we can see Elphilia saying, also, I have a question for you. Why are you single? Like, how? To which he'd say, huh? That's a crazy question, lol. I think it's a combination of like playing too many games. To which he'd say,
not that excuses it, but he's been outrightly asked and completely just denies it. There's no thing of like, avoid the question. He has straightforwardly avoided that topic in the private DMs.
why crazy? Why is it a crazy question? The guy was desired by anyone. Even after his viewership had fallen down a little bit, he could still DM anyone and get them to date him. It didn't make sense. The document would say, same calculated behavior and patterns, using his nerdy gamer boy facade to lure women into a false narrative. In this next set of DMs, Elphilia would be saying, you're cute. You're this sweet to all girls, or am I just lucky? To which he'd say, wah, lol, only to the ones I think are cool. So as we can see, Elphilia is just starstruck. She can't believe this. She feels so lucky that Sykkuno, the guy who's desired by everyone, is giving her attention out of anyone else in the world. This is the effect he had on people, and he knew this. And just like with Mal, he would follow her personal Instagram with his official Sykkuno Instagram page. It's genuinely like a deja vu to what he did with Mal. Like, it's the same patterns. The guy had a playbook, and he knew how to put it to use. The document would continue.
That just shows how manipulative he is though. Like, he had this whole persona played out that he would use with everyone, and the same manipulation tactics to use with everyone to get what he wanted out of this. Like, it's not just him being a scumbag and cheating. It shows how further down this is with his tactics to get what he wants. I still feel like predator's such a strong word, but technically he is being so manipulative. This is honestly wild behavior. It shows how calculated his thought process really is, and it's really scary to think about, honestly.
Here is proof that Sykkuno was in Paris for the TFT event around this time too, directly from his Twitter. So here you can see this was posted around the 13th of December 2025 when he was in Paris. In this first tweet on the left, we can see him taking an image of Lily Pichu, who was also there, as well as him retweeting one of TFT's tweets saying, "Ultimate bragging rights have been secured at the TFT Paris Open." This is them announcing that Sykkuno's team had won, confirming that he was indeed there. The next page of the document would show us a set of DMs between Sykkuno and Elfilia. The date would be the 3rd of March, 2026. So this would be 3 months after they had met up and hooked up. And this would be as he was talking with Mal. He'd say, "Oh my god, I was playing World of Warcraft. I saw this player. It reminded me of you." That's because that player had a similar looking name. She'd say, "Oh, you got reminded of me? That's cute." To which he'd say, "Of course. Oh, I was going to ask, were you planning on going to like Offkai or anything like that?" That's a VTuber Expo, right? To which she would say, "I wish, but unfortunately I can't. My rent is now 800 euros per month and I'm living fully off of my savings, so I canceled all my travels for the year." The document would say, to add even more salt to the wound, after Elfilia's Paris trip, in 2 weeks after he had started talking to me, saying things like how he wants to move in with me and such, he would message Elfilia asking her if she'll be at Offkai. This is proof that he'd be talking to more than one woman at the same time, planning a hookup for every event he went to. He was doing this while giving me the impression that he wanted something long-term, and all while also having a girlfriend since 2021. Elfilia and I weren't friends until I found out that he was cheating on his girlfriend. This is when we both got in contact with each other and shared our stories. She deserves the world.
I'm really curious now how it was found out that he has a girlfriend. Like, he was able to hide that for 5 years. What did he do that brought that out?
Section would end with both Sykkuno and Elfilia talking about random topics, and then at the end of this DM chain, we can see Sykkuno saying, "How was your day?" To which she would reply with, "Awful. Spent the whole day crying. Crying right now. Why do some men cheat? I'll never understand." The document points out that this is ironic, seeing that Sykkuno is a cheater himself.
Oh, does that mean that she was dating somebody else? I'm guessing this was afterwards? I'm a little bit confused right now. Honestly, I don't understand.
You can see when these two women spoke to each other and shared their stories, they were shocked. Shocked to know that they were being used so casually, and shocked to know that this man was in a relationship. But how is it that he did this for years with no consequences? How is it that there are many Elfilias and Mals out there with no one saying a thing? Well, they kind of did, which is what the next section is all about. It's titled Rumors and Broken Friendships. As I mentioned in the intro, no one made a public statement before because they never had sufficient evidence. Sykkuno would always talk about the most explicit and sensitive topics in voice calls or in person, never leaving a paper trail. This was all intentional. Rumors still managed to spread. Many content creators, both big and small, would vent to their friends about his behavior. Behind the scenes for many, he'd be known as a predator who regularly took advantage of smaller and or vulnerable content creators. The reason why Sykkuno would abruptly stop hanging out with certain people throughout the years is because of this predatory behavior. However, he'd managed to keep enough influential friends around him to legitimize his position in the space, especially seeing that many of those friends were women who would have normally stood in solidarity with any sort of victim, making it seem like he was safe enough to trust because they trusted him enough to be a friend.
See, it seems all so calculated. That's so scary. It's more than just being a cheater. It's setting up this false persona to get what he wants. Cheating is already bad, but this is a whole new different level of, I think, scary. Like, what do you mean you calculate even the friends and the people that you kept around you to have this false persona? What the fuck? And not only that, just so you can cheat. Like, at that point, be in an open relationship. It's okay, it's 2026. If you want to fuck multiple people, be in an open relationship. Or, Shokara, don't be in a relationship. Why is this so hard to get for some people?
As Elfilia spoke with Sykkuno, she'd tell him about rumors that she had heard from someone else, about how Sykkuno had a roster of readily available women, and how they all coincidentally were smaller content creators who wouldn't dare touch him if something went wrong. Elfilia, of course, didn't believe this. After all, Sykkuno had a calculated pattern that worked perfectly in his favor. His innocent, naive demeanor wouldn't dare hurt a fly, so why would he hurt me? So here we can see DMs between Elfilia and Sykkuno. She would start this off with saying, "I don't know, he said he dislikes you," referencing a friend of hers, and that you only go for girls that are small so you can manipulate them with your shy persona. Yet he is doing that to my friend right now. To which Sykkuno would say, oh yeah, I mean, I don't think that's true, but I guess people will say stuff randomly. I'm confused as to these people who think I'm going for them. I haven't really done that. But anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, like I said before, people who know me will know me, and I guess he just dislikes me, which is totally fine. She'd say, exactly. He did say the only reason you haven't gotten called out is because you go after small creators and they'll never expose you. If you ever need proof of anything, I have receipts, just in case he tries anything funny. Sykkuno would say, oh, I feel like the way VTubers are, they would love to try and expose bigger streamers. They love drama, lol. But it's not true, so I think it's fine. I don't need receipts or anything, it's fine. But I thought he was chill. I'm kind of sad he was so angry. Elphilia would say, I know, just making sure you stay safe no matter what, love.
The other person that warned her is such a good friend. That's nice of them. But the manipulation of this, that he basically has been caught out and found out, and she's gone to him to be like, hey, look, this person's saying this about you. He's like, it's fine, I don't need receipts, it's cool. Huh? The confidence of him is wild. It's so strong.
He was saying, I mean, why is he bringing up so much anyway, though? To which she'd say, he's jealous of you. I'm just playing League with him, and he brought you up out of the blue. To which he'd say, I don't think there's much to be jealous of, lol. But hopefully he feels better soon. And Elphilia ends this by saying, he said you hurt 5 of his friends, apparently. So this was on the 22nd of December after they had...
This is 2025. There was 5 in 2025. 5 that this one person knew of, by the way. That's crazy. It says 5, 6, 7. No. Don't. Honestly, don't.
Met IRL, and Elphilia had no reason to doubt him, right? She still had no idea that he had a girlfriend since 2021. This is why she was still so readily siding with him. And speaking of cheating, this is what would lead us to the section, Sykkuno's girlfriend.
This is the part that I've been the most curious about, the girlfriend. I'm curious how it got found out. I'm curious everything. Honestly, everything. This whole time, I have so much sympathy for those 2 girls, but the girlfriend of 5 years? The pain. I can't imagine how fucking painful that must be.
The coincidence that would lead me to finding out the truth about Sykkuno happened last week. A popular male VTuber tried to slide into my DMs to presumably get in my pants, and when I rejected him, he immediately started to mention nasty rumors about Bao. Out of concern for her, I reached out to him.
I need an explanation video for my explanation video. Who the fuck is Bao? Like, I'm chronically online, but I'm not this chronically online. Who are these people? I hope he says. I hope I just paused too early.
Mod, who then connected me with Bao. The 3 of us struck up a conversation when I mentioned I was nervous about a date I was going on. They asked me who it was. When I said my date was with Sykkuno, they immediately told me not to go on the date for my own personal safety. Bao told me that at the end of March, Sykkuno's girlfriend reached out to her regarding a controversial tweet Bao made last year in 2025. She asked Bao if it was true that the tweet was about Sykkuno. So this tweet in question, right, if you were on Twitter back in October 2025, you would have probably seen it. It went absolutely viral, and it simply just...
This is Bao. We found out who Bao is.
Said, if you're an up-and-coming female content creator with a small but growing audience and a much larger and successful male content creator approaches you out of nowhere and showers you with attention on stream, in DMs, etc., don't walk, run. To 99% of people. This was Bao giving smaller content creators very well needed advice. In reality though, this was a subtweet directly referencing Sykkuno's behavior. Because the document would continue, they called, as in Bao and Sykkuno's girlfriend, and Bao explained to her that other women had confided in her about similar experiences with him. She described a pattern of behavior where he targeted small female content creators and pressured them into having sex with him. Bao then offered to connect her with these other victims so they could share their experiences with her directly, as she felt it was important to hear them firsthand. This was all discussed during a Discord call. And so here we can see a DM sent by Sykkuno's girlfriend on March 24, 2026 to Bao, saying, hey Bao, I'm sorry to bother you with this, but I heard something recently that was a bit concerning and I thought I would just come ask you about it. I heard that there was possibly an instance of Sykkuno trying to get VTuber girls up to his hotel room to drink with them, and that the tweet you made about being cautious of large male streamers showering you with gifts and attention was about him, in regards to him doing it to one of your friends? You know, before we get back to the document, this actually reminds me of this one tweet that was posted on Twitter back in October 21st, 2025 during TwitchCon North America, where an innocent fan came across Sykkuno in the lobby of a hotel at 2 a.m. One can only wonder what he was doing there. But as you can see, rumors are very easy to spread once you spot someone in a hotel lobby at 2 a.m. The document would continue. Bao told me that 3 days before I contacted her and her mod, Sykkuno and his girlfriend were trying to reconcile after Sykkuno somehow managed to convince her that it was all a huge misunderstanding. She had no clue that I, as well as many other girls, still existed in Sykkuno's romantic and sexual life, as well as many other girls still existed in Sykkuno's romantic and sexual life. Bao and her mod would put me in a group chat with Sykkuno's girlfriend where I would share all the screenshots you see above. She was rightfully horrified and left the group chat because she couldn't stomach reading them.
Honestly, that's really fucking sad and understandable. Like, your partner of 5 years, and this is how you find out? Like, bittersweet. Thank fuck she did find out. But bitter because it shouldn't have happened.
And see DMs in the group chat from Sykkuno's girlfriend saying, "I've lived with him for over 2 years. We have been together since 2021. And on top of that, everything he's planning with you are things we have planned together and talk about and have done. I'm sorry." At this point, I would
See, manipulation tactic. He used that towards her, and then it just becomes like a repeat behavior that he does with everyone. That is something so fucking weird, and I don't want to say evil, but so dark. It's so dark to be in that mindset.
be able to imagine what I would feel if I was in Mal's shoes or anyone else's shoes that Sykkuno had taken advantage of. In fact, I can't imagine being his girlfriend. Hearing these rumors about someone I lived with in the same home and finding out about it this way, even after he managed to convince me that him sleeping with someone back in December 2025 was a misunderstanding. It's horrifying. This would all lead us to the final section of this document, titled "To All of Sykkuno's Victims." Ever since Sykkuno's viral breakout during the pandemic lockdowns of 2020 when he played Among Us, he has always carefully curated every aspect of his behavior on stream and with friends. An innocent, romantically inexperienced boy failure who looks like an anime character and sounds like one too. This perfectly curated image would attract a large audience of women, with a lot of them openly professing how attracted they are to him. He soaked in the praise and never sought to limit the most extreme aspects of his community because it made him more desirable. He understood this and would use this curated image, as well as his legitimacy in the content creation space thanks to his followers and famous friends, to seek out any attractive cosplayers and or content creators that were small enough to be starstruck by his grand presence. It would work most of the time, as he'd use the same calculated pattern that he used with me and Elphilia to lure them in, and eventually fly them out to the next convention or event that he went to with the goal of hooking up. What these many women didn't know, though, is that he'd always lie about the fact that he's single, that behind the scenes, he had a neglected and depressed girlfriend that he'd been with since 2021 and who has lived with him since 2024 in the same house. I implore the many other victims to come out about their experiences with this predator, and I end this document with a recording of Sykkuno in which he admits to everything, especially with how he cheated on his girlfriend with my friend and was intending to do that with me as well. For context, this was shortly after I had messaged his girlfriend about his cheating. 30 minutes later, he would ask if I was free for a call. As his girlfriend was crying downstairs, he somehow chose to prioritize someone that he barely met 2 months ago. She's referring to herself. I pointed this out during the call. Here's the link. So the link isn't here right now, but obviously it will be by the time this...
To what reason? Wait, what? His girlfriend was crying downstairs and he chose to go call someone he had spoke to 2 months ago? Barely met 2 months ago. Where in his mindset was he out for that? This is so much more deeper than I thought it would be. Like, already, yes, again, cheating bad. I keep repeating that. Reckon record, I know, but what the fuck? Learning about the image that he created after hearing about the allegations is so strange for me. From knowing who he is and then seeing who pretended to be afterwards, it just seems so obvious. But again, of course it's obvious because I already know the facts that this is a lying, manipulative person. Crying downstairs. Wow.
This video comes out. It's okay though, because I have the video. And if you're wondering why you should watch it here, well, it's because Sykkuno's voice is so damn low. The guy was whispering as if someone was after him with a gun. They could barely tell what he's saying. I actually bothered to add subtitles. This whole recording is 17 minutes long, and as the document stated, he pretty much admits to everything. Watch.
Hello.
Thomas.
Hello.
So,
Well, pretty much know most of it.
yeah, like what?
Know what?
No, you can tell me.
Okay. Well, wasn't very honest
Oh,
about single.
about what? You have to speak up a little bit. Your mic's cutting out.
Sorry, always happens. About being single, and I just wanted to tell you how everything happened.
Uh-huh. You're still gonna have to speak up a little bit, by the way. You're still cutting out a lot.
Sorry. I talk quietly.
Yeah, but you never talk this quietly.
I'm sad.
It's the actions of your... Well, it's the consequences of your own actions, I suppose.
I know.
Mm.
So basically, I was in a very happy relationship.
Doesn't sound like it, but sure.
Well, let me finish. I
Continue.
was in a very happy relationship a long time ago.
He says a very happy relationship, but had he not been talking to, was it Alfie? I can't remember the name. Alfie for 5 years, so he was literally talking and cheating the whole time he was in a relationship. At what point was that a happy relationship? It was calculated from the beginning.
Long time ago. What, like
And then-
2021?
I don't know the exact time, honestly, but a long time ago. Then it got a lot less happy.
How so?
I don't fully know. She just stopped hanging out with me that much, and
Stop hanging out with you. She lives with you.
yeah, I mean,
You're gonna have to speak up. I can't hear a single sentence that comes out of your mouth. You there?
yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm just asking because you went quiet.
Anyway, so I was very, very happy,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point it wasn't so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly when, but like we stopped spending time together. We hadn't done anything together for years.
Or what? I couldn't hear that part.
I said we hadn't done anything together for like years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just very sad and alone. Didn't feel wanted at all.
Mm-hmm. So you slept with Alfie in Paris.
Yeah.
And then you flirted with me. And were telling me how you wanted me to come visit you in Vegas, and how you wanted to go on a date, and how you were serious about me, and how you really meant, and how you wanted to go get a cat together.
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Why didn't you just break off the relationship then?
Because a combination of remembering how it was, some part of me hoping it would go back to that, and
Well, obviously it's not going to go back to that if you're actively cheating on her.
The manipulation is actually really crazy. He would have been the one that created that divide. He was spending all his time with other women. Even if it wasn't physically, but like online, he was spending this time giving them attention, money, and love bombing them. Like, why is it suddenly the girlfriend's fault? Like, leave. You're unhappy. Leave.
Only going to get worse. I think that's really on you, bud. And I know you're smarter than that.
I'm not.
I mean, for fuck's sake, you're a 34-year-old man. Yes, you are. Stop.
I'm sorry, but the mentioning of the age, yeah, I actually fully fucking forgot that he was 34 for a good minute there. The excuses he's giving and how he's acting towards this, you wouldn't think he's 34. You wouldn't think he was a grown-ass man at this point.
Acting like you're a child.
Don't think that's what I'm acting like, but
I mean, you say you're not smarter than that, but you are. You're a 34-year-old man. You just chose to do it. You knew damn well in the back of your head that it wasn't going to end up well.
yeah. But it's complicated.
It's really not. Cheating is just bad. She hasn't done anything to ask for it to be cheated on. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, but she relied on me to take care of a lot of things, and I still cared about her.
Okay, that doesn't mean that you do that because you wanted to, not because she was like holding it against you or forcing you to.
No.
Exactly. So there's still no excuse for you to cheat on her.
Not saying there was one. Just explaining why it happened.
Like, you already cheated on her once, and she decided to trust you still. She decided to stay with you, despite the fact that you already had cheated on her and admitted to it. And what do? You go onto Twitter and go find the next girl to flirt with. Like, if anything, honest to God, I'm not even mad at this point. I'm just disappointed.
Also using the same playbook, the same tactics, sending them money, making them feel special, following their personal Instagram, wanting to meet ASAP, to hook up, everything. And I think one thing that personally struck me was how only 30 minutes after his girlfriend found out about his cheating and probably confronted him, he chose to run upstairs and prioritize Mal, someone he met 2 months ago, all while his girlfriend was crying downstairs, gutted.
That to me, like 30 minutes is nothing, especially with finding out that your 5-year relationship had been a lie the whole time. I can imagine 30 minutes going by so quick in that sense of like heated emotions and sadness and crying. And the fact that after 30 minutes he went upstairs to basically do damage control so he could basically spin the narrative of how he wanted it to somehow come out as the victim after all of this. It really shows how much he just cared about himself in that situation and his image and the work that he had made to look like this type of person, because of course this person is on the internet, is a content creator, and she came out about this, rightly so, but she came out about all this information, and it just shows how much he just wanted to do damage control. There was no caring about anyone else's feelings at all, including his and what he could get out of this situation. I'm honestly so surprised at how much deeper this really was, at how weirdly manipulative this all was. I heard the term predator and I went in this with an open mind to think, okay, the term has been used. I haven't heard of any younger person in this situation. With everything we've just watched, this is really disappointing to hear. And it sounds like there was a lot of people that was misled and hurt in this situation. I'm very curious after these 6 days that this video was made, how many more have come forward with allegations with this and how many more were affected in this? Like, this situation right now is still developing. We've just heard part of it, and I'm curious how it's going to develop. I'm really curious what's going to happen to his fan base as well. Like, he basically lied to the whole of his fan base with this weird persona that he brushed off to try and manipulate people into supporting him and following him. You know that his viewership's going to take a dive. I wouldn't be surprised if he just stopped being on the internet for a while in general, but there's always some weird creepy fans out there that are going to support him no matter what. There probably is some right now that's heard the allegation and is still supporting him, probably knowing that they now have a chance. Mostly though, I'm just very surprised that this isn't what I expected at all. If there are more updates or context, please let me know in the comments and I'll have a little look at it and see what it's about. I feel like I might need to do a part 2 for this Becoming Chronically Online series. If you like this, please like. If you didn't, okay. I'm curious what you think in the comments and if you like this type of video series. If there's anything else that you would like reaction-wise, also let me know, please. I would like to keep this channel to more of like streamer and nerdy type reactions rather than just whole internet drama in itself. But if you like this video, please like. Thank you for being here and I hope you have a good day. Crunchies! I also forgot to mention, please check out Munjin's video, how to go from viral star to serial cheater and manipulator, the Lies of Sykkuno. It has the full video of the Discord call that they had, and there is still more content of that. It was like an hour-long video. I just didn't want to watch all of it. I'll put the video link in the description so you can check out the rest of the video yourself. Thank you for watching.